Hey everyone, we are here with another episode of Emergence of Being, and today we're talking all about sex for National Sex Day. And we also have a special guest today, Jake Cunningham, and I'm getting error messages all over the place with the stream, so let me fix that. But where shall we start our amazing conversation leading up to National Sex Day?
Wait a second. Is that what we're talking about? I had no idea that's what's going on today. Is this real?
Yeah,
No, I'm just joking. I was joking. It's like there's nothing like a Monday morning like good sex talk, right? Like,
right.
You know,
this is our new conversation every Monday, guys. The new sex tips.
Who knows? You may get those ratings, Hank, and make it so. But no, thanks for having me. It's an honor, you guys.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like Facebook, I wonder if Facebook's like, you shouldn't be talking about this because they deleted. It says one of the streams was deleted, and we were totally on time starting. So I'm going to go ahead and like get that going again here.
We'll chat while you figure out tech.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it's something that would be alarming or any type of. I mean, but who knows? Yeah, who knows now what's censored and what isn't. I think it's a healthy conversation to have. Adults need to have it more.
For sure it is, yeah.
And be open about that, because I feel one of the issues is human beings in society. We talked about this a little bit earlier, Adriana, as we suppress so much, right? We just tuck it in and we wear this mask and we tuck it, we dive it and we stuff it down so deep. And then we pull stunts and we get in trouble with ourselves, our partners, our loved ones, our families, our business partners, when really you could have been more open about it, right? About what your needs are. So anyway, I'll leave it there and pass the ball back to you guys.
I did a whole little video on just ghosting, and I think that's a part of this too. Usually we have viewers already, and it's not.
Because we weren't live on Facebook yet. Because
got it.
So since I scheduled the stream 2 days ago, and today mysteriously StreamYard lost access to my Facebook profile, so I had to reconnect it. And now
there's one. Okay, cool.
So if you're just joining us, we just had a little technical issue. Apparently, Facebook was sheepish about our conversation today, and our StreamYard, who knows? But anyway, we are live now, and I'm just making sure to make it public on my page, as you should too, Dr. K, if you remember that. Yes. Okay.
I'll do that while you guys talk. But just ghosting, and just I think starting out with that, just being forthright with what you want, what you desire, and being clear about that, and not just disappearing on things. And who comes up with National Sex Day? I really want to know who came up with that.
Well, probably somebody who sells a product or service around sex, because that's anybody can make a day. Like I can go on and I can make National Sonic Shaman Day, and that could be like a thing. Yeah. So really, it's kind of a marketing thing. But just to kind of start over now that we're officially talking, welcome, happy Monday. Today's conversation is all about sex, leading up to National Sex Day. So stay with us for a candid conversation with myself, Dr. K, and Jake Cunningham. Awesome. So I'm so glad that Mercury went to direct, because who knows what would have happened if it was still in retrograde, right? But welcome, everyone. We welcome, especially today, your comments and questions, because this topic is so broad and it means so many different things to so many different people that your questions really could drive the conversation. So please, of course, ask your questions as we start to move through this amazing topic.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy on this one, right? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation. So maybe we should have a song to start, right?
A song, you said?
There's like that. Let's start right?
Yeah, if we play any of that, then we get flagged for copyright. Yeah, we will get flagged and our video gets taken down, so then no one will see the video. But welcome, everyone. Please do ask your questions and everything as we start to move into this topic. Yeah. But we picked this because on June 9th is National Sex Day. And what better way to start a conversation around sex leading up to that day to add more richness, hopefully, to your relationships and to your experience than to have a conversation about it. And this was Dr. K's idea, so I challenged Dr. K to really start this.
Blame it on me.
No, I consented to have the conversation too, but I think it was inspired by, I don't know how it got inspired, actually.
I don't know.
I thought it was your idea. We'll have to go back.
I think we talked about we talked about the fact that it came up that June 9th is National Sex Day. I'm like, well, maybe we should bring Jake on and have another round of relationship conversations since it was such a hit. So
well, I want to say something, in the prelude when we were chatting, getting set up, you brought something up, Dr. K, of, and hey, defining what you want out of your sex life, like defining that, have clarity in that. Because a lot of people I know may not have that clarity. So how can you get somewhere if you don't know what that looks like, what that feels like, what you want to go after? Because you can learn different ways to make it better, to improve attraction, all these different things, but it starts with what you want and then setting that intention and doing the actions towards it. So I think that is just a foundation, I think, in everything related to sex or any other relationship in your life, right? Work or, your family or your intimate lives. You have to know what you want to create.
Yeah, totally.
And making sure that you're coming from the same place, because there's some people that for sex, it's purely a physical thing. And there's other people, there's a term called demisexuals, and demisexuals must have an emotional connection with their partners and things. So so if you have one person just looking for the physical and one person looking to get emotionally engaged, then right there, it's already there's not a meeting of the minds to get the same thing out of the experience. And so it's really important to have clear origin points when you're looking to get into a relationship with someone, especially if it's going to evolve into something sexual.
Aligning the map,
the map,
the values, the standards, those things. And even if they're not, it doesn't mean that I think that's doomed. I don't think that's a relationship that can't get there. It's first knowing thyself, right? Where are you on those spectrums? Is your partner that you've built this time and energy creating a relationship with communicating about that and being humble enough to work on those weaknesses so you can actually be that for the other person too. So it's not like you're doomed and you have to go from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, searching for someone exactly like you. Because I don't think that's a reality.
And sometimes even if there was somebody exactly like you, from a spiritual perspective, we're all here for the experience and for contrast. So oftentimes you are not necessarily looking for attracting the partner that's just like you. You're looking to attract a partner that has the contrast that's going to allow you to evolve more as a spiritual being. Because at the end of the day, there is a huge spiritual component to sex and intimacy, and a lot of relationships are lacking that spiritual component. And that if you can bring that part in, it could add a ton more richness to the experience and to the relationship dynamic.
So a big thing that's coming through for me, though, is to talk about boredom. I think that's a common thing that happens. You're bored with it's great in the beginning, right? You meet somebody, it's like, oh, and then as time goes, especially if you have kids and that sort of thing, you guys can relate to that more than I, but boredom. People go and seek out different things, I think, because their partner's no longer providing what they desire, or there's arguments, or the boredom.
And that goes, I don't know if the viewers want to spend your time watching this previous one I did with the group, with the leaders here, with Hank, but we talked about how to prevent that boredom, how to recognize it, but it goes back to being conscious. And can the individuals be conscious and aware of where they are and identify, gosh, you know what? This is really boring. Are you bored too? And having that. And a lot of times I don't think that unfolds. And so we search outside instead of working together. But no, I do want to share that review because I think it's something tangible for everybody that they can identify with for preventing that boredom, so they can keep it hot, keep it, exciting. It can't always be that. I know that the phase of life I'm in, it's work. I'm happily married, 2 boys, coach baseball, run my own business. I'm stressed. The stress and energy. And stress is something huge. I know, Dr. K, I know you both work with stress reduction, helping people using energetic medicine, reducing stress. When you're stressed, there's not space to connect on that higher level, really.
Totally.
Because you're grounded in this fight or flight survival mode, right? The bills, the financial stress, school and work and the kids and all this stuff, you have to get out of that. And that, Hank, you brought up a really good point. When you're connected spiritually, whether you're in prayer, you're doing something that connects at that level, that root base fight or flight response survival stuff, you're not living in that. You're on the higher level, and you're able to connect at that level. So
yeah, stress is a big one. I think for men, maybe, I don't know if it's maybe more men than women, but when you're really stressed, you turn inward and you do stuff alone. We're just going to put it that way, versus feeling the pressure of your partner. So it's kind of like a self-fulfillment thing, because you don't want the pressure of your partner for performance. You're already so pressured by work, etc., or you lose your sex drive completely or minimally, because you're too worried about what's going on. And so those kinds of things to clear and create or you turn sideways to something else completely, again, because you're either, number one, bored with your partner, or you feel pressured to perform a certain way, and you're already, or number three, you're so tired that you just don't even have it.
Right.
So,
right.
Just to acknowledge a comment, we have Robert just saying, yes, boredom is real, just to kind of
it is
to validate what we're talking about. And part of that is when you get into a relationship, and this is something that happens with a lot of folk, they're looking at what, like, the honeymoon phase, like you said, it's really intense at first. And they look at what the relationship was versus what the relationship is becoming, because it is a living, breathing dynamic. And if you don't acknowledge that it's changing, then and evolving and things, and you're trying to hold on to what it was at the beginning, then you're kind of you're just like, you can what's the word I was looking, fragment yourself, like with anything, you're fragmenting the relationship then, and not allowing it to be in the moment and to evolve in what it could be becoming, which can be grander and greater, but we're too focused on the past and what it was. So that's like a huge thing with that dynamic to keep in mind.
Yeah, I know. In talking about this, there's this key relationship in creating like a great sex life that I think goes forgotten. And that is one, focusing and taking care of yourself, and being, and that self-investment, taking care of your health. Like you said, if you don't have the energy, I mean, you kidding me? You're not doing much of anything, nevertheless, in the sack. Like, you kidding? Second, and it relates to confidence and happiness. And I'll tell you, that's what's attractive. That's what leads the road to having fun and creativity and that relationship intimacy. Go ahead, Hank.
Oh, no, the thought I had, and we can swing back to it later, is like on Maslow's hierarchy of needs is what I was thinking. Sex can fit on a lot of those different rungs. So like, if you think of it kind of like an elevator, like you could have sex, the experience on a lot of different levels, but if you're stressed or you're not having some needs met, it kind of caps the experience that you can have, and doesn't allow you to kind of evolve into where sex could be a self-actualizing thing, and could become a huge spiritual component with energy and creation and manifestation and that type of thing, because it can actually be a tool to manifest things in your life. And that might be a more advanced discussion for another day, like when you look at the Egyptian Ankh and how to use the energy as you reach the top of the mountain and things to like create out in the outer world, because all that energy potency can be funneled into something creatively that you're looking to manifest in your experience that isn't necessarily sex related.
Yeah. That's another level of, consciousness that I think people can move into. And there's a lot of healing in it too, that energy. But you almost have to be healed enough to even tap in and get there, to tap into that healing energy, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but
it absolutely does. Especially for people who had any sort of sexual abuse in childhood or anything. They may be experiencing sex and it might be triggering shadow material, and if that is not looked at, it could just kind of wipe out like the sex life and things of that nature. So like it's really important for both partners to have a recognition that, as things might come up, for like to take a look at, hey, what's coming up for you? And like, there may be a component that needs to be looked at outside of the bedroom then, in terms of healing work that might be triggered by the bedroom experience, or what they're craving in the bedroom and things, because you tend to eroticize what your traumas are. And so like different things that might be coming up that are a craving for someone, if you look at that, is this like something that's coming up and it's a shadow thing that really needs to be looked at? Or is it just a true, like, hey, I like this, but you might want to look at that because it might be something triggering that needs to come up to be healed. And once it's healed, then it could just become a preference.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the stereotype of that is the, traumatic young woman out there searching for the void. Sex is just searching for the love, not making that bond. When you heal thyself and you are coming from a place of where almost you don't crave it, need it, and are searching for it, that's actually when things unfold. That's when it happens. And when it happens and you're in the rhythm of life and there's nothing greater. There's nothing greater. It's like just this amazing time you get to share with your loved one, with your intimate partner. That is really just, I feel, one of the most special things that the Creator has given us is this ability to connect on that level. And it's nothing to shy from. I mean, it is still taboo to talk about, right? I mean, we were just talking about earlier, did Facebook ban this, right? Before we even got started.
Well,
it's not. I mean,
it could have been just a technology thing because it was just weird. And like, what are the chances that within 2 days the software just decides not to like jive? So, or maybe somebody was resistant to hearing about this.
You never know. You never know. And that's something too. You brought up so important though, with your partner or partner who, whatever your lifestyle is, that's something personally. And I'll show you I'm a very kind of more traditional guy. I'm happily married. I want that marriage to be, I want to go for the long haul, right? That's my choice. That's my commitment. I got 2 young boys. I want to be a pillar, show how much I love their mom. That's it. That's my story. That's what I want. I'm clear on that. If you have a different lifestyle, that's perfectly fine. But getting clarity on what you want out of that relationship is super, super important to create and manifest healthy life, healthy sex life, healthy well-being, and everything else. Part of this, I just want to share, goes into, and you touched on it, that honeymoon phase, that romantic, where all those endorphins and those hormones are flowing. That's created in our biology for a reason. That when you meet someone you're attracted to and you have the butterflies, and no matter what they say, it doesn't matter. Like it's like you laugh at their jokes and they're not really fun. It doesn't matter. You're in awe and you're in that honeymoon special phase. Well, I think biology's created that for a reason, right? To have you connect, procreate, and so on. Well, there's other elements of attraction that are built in from back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers, and there's this level of attraction. And this is specifically, I just want to go through this real quick for the men. This is some secrets and tips that I've used to help keep that flame lit, which leads to, of course, better sex, but greater relationship as whole. If that's something you're looking for. If you're looking for just paying for that, well, that you can do that too. I'm not judging you for that. This is about long-term relationship. That's my choice. Or using this to define a relationship that, say, you had a relationship with, and you need to create that healthy boundary. You need to create that healthy saying this, and that standard of a relationship that maybe was intimate, but now you need to move past an ex-wife, an ex-girlfriend, a coworker you had a relationship with. So this is really my little archetype totem pole of how you can define your relationship. In my case, it's to create and identify and keep the relationship hot with my wife so we can have fun and we can thrive, even through a stressful yet positive stressful time that we're in right now. Business building, family building, all these other things. So on the lowest level, if you were to imagine like a totem pole, there's the lowest level of attraction to the highest. The highest is direct relationship with self-belief, confidence too. Lowest confidence level, someone's not happy with themselves. They don't treat themselves right. They don't respect themselves. That's really going to be the lowest attraction to your partner, by the way. So if you abuse yourself, if you lie to yourself, you lie to them, and you're not trusted, sorry, you're good luck. You're not going to find the success in the bed very easily. Next level is best friend. Okay, Mr. Nice Guy. You fall into that. We fall into that all the time as husbands and as partners. We become only the emotional support for the person. That's it. We never go beyond that. We're categories. We're pinned as best friend mode. And like when you like somebody and they say, "Oh, I just love you. You're like my best friend."
Yeah.
I cringe. And so, and Lisa would laugh. Every time I see happy birthday, anniversary, all these things on social media. Oh my gosh, I married my best friend. I cringe. Right? I cringe. And like, obviously I know what they mean. And it's not, hear me out though. It's not that those are wrong or bad, but just let me tell the full story and you'll see that there's a time and place for that. That's a very important part of a relationship. But if you get stuck in that, or if you identify you are stuck in that, you need to make a shift. You can consciously choose. You can consciously act different and perform different to be able to raise the attraction level. It's harder to go up the scale than it is down. Remember that. So coming into a new relationship, you want to step in with this full confidence. So next on the totem pole is long-term relationship guy. This is someone who's, hey, he can work hard. He's dedicated to his craft, his career. He provides. He's someone I'd love to bring home and introduce to mom and dad because he's reliable. He's going to pick Johnny up from school. Yeah, he's a little boring. Yeah, maybe not super physically attracted to him. But you know what? He is going to be there. I know he's going to be a great husband, a great whatever it is, right? Long-term relationship guy. Very important, though. That's up from stuck in best friend zone, long-term relationship. That's where a lot of relationships sit and die in that, right? I ask a lot of my friends, people who've gone through divorce. I like to ask, hey, so if you don't mind, just what, in a nutshell, what happened? Oh, well, we moved in different directions. They grew apart. And partly because someone took their career and that was their marriage now. And the partner stayed at home and they grew apart in that phase. Next attractive level is the bad boy, Mr. Spontaneous, Mr. Fun. He's so confident. He doesn't need you. He has so much swag that sometimes it's reckless, but that's exciting. He's spontaneous. He'll take you out and not tell you where you're going. He'll book, vacation stuff. That is based upon, I think why that's so attractive. This is my own concepts, guys. Like, please take this with the words of grain of salt. I am not a social worker. I'm not a marriage therapist. I'm not a sex therapist. No, I am a simple guy who's friends with these two amazing people that invite me to come on and talk about my own stuff.
Oh, but one good thing to note, though, this whole construct that you're talking about, we actually had someone comment on a YouTube, our last relationship series saying, where did this come from? And it's like, it's Jake's own material, because a lot of people really resonated with the way that you develop these constructs and what type of person you are in the relationship. And if anybody's interested in seeing a much broader discussion on these labels, I put a link to the playlist with the other episodes of Jake in the comments, so you can check those out and watch, because he went way more in depth in the relationship series than what we're going over now. So just throwing that out there.
No, thank you, Hank. And I'll simplify this really. But why this mattered for me, why I even thought about this was, you know how much time I wasted on, of my time and others. And it's not so much about time. We learn from these experiences. But you know how many heartbreaks that I caused, that mine was, and how many misaligned expectations and relationships around in work environment stuff. So this is really simple for the male brain to get. And there's also a mirror for the women that we can touch on later. But so next is the bad boy, Mr. Confident. He's the rock star, the athlete, he's got swag. Gosh, and he doesn't actually need anybody that attractive. And I think that's attractive because he's the one who's going to go out fearlessly and get the bear and bring that back to the village. So there's this innate, go ahead.
I'm just hoping that sound healers can fit into that rock star part, because I'm not an athlete. I'm not like a musician, but I play these big crystal balls. So I hope I can.
No, the bad boy of the crystal balls. But here it is. It's a part of that isn't just that. Those are stereotypes. Those are like stereotypes, but to help people identify with it. It's really a self-confidence. It's a confidence thing in what they do, and they do what they want, and in life, right? They're chasing their dreams. They're out there. That is a higher risk of a relationship for someone who's looking. He may not pick Johnny up from soccer because he's out playing his sound bowls for or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just an archetype. And next is the one where men can step into. The guys, this is where you need to think about every time you come home from work. You come in, you wipe the day off, you come in and you smile and you're happy. You're present and you're confident, and you have a choice. You have the power to decide which role you need to be when. It's not about just avoiding all those, being bad boy all the time. No, because that'll be fun for a weekend, but then your family might leave you after a week or a month or two, you know, and that happens all the time. You have these midlife crisis, these guys who, you know, think they need to live vicariously. So when they don't realize they can actually create that again with their wife or their significant other or whoever they want. So the top is this Mr. Right, knight in shining armor, whatever you want to call it. Still need a name for it. Maybe someday I'll come up. But that person is just the aware, confident individual who can identify when they're stuck in a rut, when they've been working for a month straight and they haven't given the time to show up and be the best friend, or spontaneous, where they can say, listen, and I use this example all the time for, like, you know, simple little guys like me, like Mary. It doesn't have to be, hey, we're selling the house and I'm buying a Ferrari and we're gonna leave the kids and we're gonna go to Italy. And no, it's, hey, I'm taking you out on Friday. I want you to wear something sexy and hot. And I'm getting childcare taken care of. Your parents are already set up to watch them. Okay, I'm not telling you where we're going. What do you mean we're not to? What? I don't know what to wear. Like, that's all it takes. That's it. It just takes that awareness and action to do that. Also, if you are stuck in best friend mode, and this happens a lot when men don't have a purpose, when they don't have their purpose in life, right? Which is not bad boy confidence, right? I'm building my career or I'm chasing a dream, or when this happens a lot when men have to actually stay home. And I'm all for that. I'm a very hands-on dad. But when a man doesn't have a purpose outside of, say, just the childcare and stuff, you get this, and that eventually will lose attraction in my book, in Jake's book.
Totally agree. Yeah, when men don't have a purpose, they don't have a drive, and it's just day to day. I'm just taking care of the kids. I'm just your best friend. It's just. It's
subconscious. This is something I think that's built in on a very deep DNA level for the female of what they're attracted to. And again, you guys, this all leads to sex and more. And it doesn't all lead to that, but if that's like part of that, being there emotionally when you need to, learning how to handle business and say, hey, babe, I'm gonna miss this weekend's graduation party for your cousin because I've got a big deal I've got to work on. I love you. Is that okay? Well, I'm bummed. I wanted you. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be there all next week for you. I have to handle business. That is sexy. That's going to honor more respect and gain more respect than, you're right, I'm going to just throw my dreams out the window, bend over for you and rub your feet every night and massage you every night, bring you flowers every day, cook dinner, wipe the kids' butts, and do everything. And do you think that's like that doesn't, it's not going to hold the attraction? I'm talking about sexual attraction here, guys. So anyway, those are the archetypes. Take from what that you will, but I think it's served me very well to identify, again, one, awareness, consciousness, right? You first have to know what you want. If you want to be a bachelor and you want to go out and date and identify and meet people with the same map, that's fine.
Make that clear.
But don't stay married. Don't stay married with your unless you communicate and you share that same value. So first it's awareness, but that level of confidence and identifying, and then learning what skills to do when you're in those and how to do it. And if you don't know what to do, don't call me, call Hank. I don't have time to deal with that. I'm dealing with my own life. But anyway, you guys, I wanted to share that, some of the review, because that to me has really led to when I'm feeling a lack and I need a connection with my wife.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck in this zone. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not just a hey, tomorrow night is our night. Are you ready? Well,
right, plan it.
Tomorrow night. Are you ready? I'm going to give you a back rub. We're going to do this. Are you good? She's like, well, wait a second. You've been my best friend for the last month, or you've been working. Maybe let's have a date night first. Okay. And you get to like play with it and use it. So for what that's worth, you guys, I'll send you the bill later. And
And one thing I want to speak to with that, when you mentioned like if you wanted to be the Bachelor or whatever, Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote the books Conversations with God, he had like a 16-year marriage. And then as he was writing the books, he was talking about like as things were being channeled, like relationships, love should be free and all these things. And he had a candid conversation with his wife, Nancy, at the time about that. And then he was traveling, sometimes having Nancy, sometimes having a partner, which he called Em. It was like amazing poet and everything. But the way that he wrote the book, it's like you can even have a conversation with a partner of 16 years if your needs change, and it's possible to evolve through that. And I bring that up because I just looked up the statistics. The average divorce in the United States is like 50%.
It is.
Overall, like 50% of marriages fail, and then the second marriage, it's even higher. It's like 70%. Like if you weren't happy in a marriage the first time, maybe the second time is not going to be so grand either. And I think that part of that is that honest clarification of what do you really require.
Yeah.
And
well said.
Important.
Well said.
Yeah. I think society's moving along very quickly. Society creates a lot of rules and regulations, and when we need to fall out of those rules and regulations, and this is a naughty talk, so we shouldn't be talking about this anyway, then it creates, people want to push the boundaries and they get boredom and they just don't. So all this has evolved, and it's problematic. And I think the tension that's going on in society too, guys, like really work on yourselves. I know that's like cheesy, but if you really want a good relationship, you really have to get in touch with yourselves. And I know guys that want to hear that, like, we're not going to go in touch with our
They do
feelings.
not want to look in the mirror at all. But that's changing too. There's more men coming to me than ever before. And I used to be, when I took Reiki, I was the only guy in the entire class. And now when I see classes, there's a trickling, but there's a lot more men starting to get in touch with that side of themselves. So I believe even that is evolving, which is really just a breath of fresh air to see.
Yeah, guys, it is sexy when you can have all those things Jake talked about and be able to bring forth some of your feelings, so to speak. I know you guys don't have that like we do. We have a different dynamic, but a guy that has all of that, has purpose, and is able to just communicate and be like, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with who's able to just say that and not bottle things up. To us women, that is like amazing. That is that all that combined is the gold rock star pile. It really is. We always want the guy. Why isn't the guy talking to us? Why isn't they telling about their feelings? And we just want to sit after sex. And can you tell me why I'm so beautiful? But guys, they're not cleaned up enough within themselves to be able to have that kind of conversation. So this longing continues. We get into entanglement. We get bored. We get frustrated. We go cheat because there's some on both sides because we're not getting what we need. So really going inward and getting the stuff cleaned up, seeing Hank or me or anybody to really get this stuff cleaned so that you can get to that state that Jake is talking about, where we can get to all those things combined and being in your true authentic self, because a lot of people are not there. And I think that's why all this stuff happens. That's why I think the divorce rate's so high.
I think so too. Yeah.
And plus we were ingrained with that. We were ingrained with that from church and things. And like back in the day, they didn't have medicines for sexually transmitted diseases. They didn't have some of these things. So I think part of like the doctrine of that was for the times. But if you go and look at other countries, like in Peru and like the Caro specifically, they don't even have a concept of marriage. They don't even have that. Like the Spanish introduced it, and now they have it for political reasons if it's going to benefit to particular communities. But that never was even a thing on the radar. They just had relationship with one another and did what makes sense.
It does.
Social
very
pressures,
constricting, and we've created marriage. And don't get me wrong, I'm not I'm not saying don't get married.
Yeah, me neither, because I'm married too. So like, we're not saying don't get married.
Oh, no.
But being able to have like a bird's eye view and looking at like, what are you choosing, and are you choosing things out of what is right for you or what you were taught is right for you, and being able to be clear on that is essential to be able to allow relationships and things like that to evolve healthy.
Because I know a lot of people that are married, but their partner is already a roommate. It's already just become that.
Right.
And that's when you start seeking other things, because a lot of people were kind of forced into that marriage. You know, their girlfriend got pregnant. It was the right thing to do. It is kind of, I mean, obviously you want cohesiveness in the relationship, but when you research, and we talked about this at another segment, that 8 million years ago, marriage did not exist. And just like Hank says, in Peru, it did not exist. This evolved over time. And marriage contains so much pressure in itself that I think because we're so not aligned with ourselves anymore, and we're so chaotic, we go outside of that because we still have the animal instinct within us. So if we can kind of balance all these things out, like Jake talked about, you know, it makes it so much easier.
Well, and I think, you know, speaking of marriage and being married, like two people come together, and marriage is a contract. I mean, it's a contract that I believe was developed to protect some of the rights of both parties and so on. But it's not very long. I mean, I think
like in a monarchy, you need like in a monarchy, you need monogamy because it's protecting the bloodlines. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Well, most of us aren't in the monarchy at the same time, but they're forgetting the marriage and that whole thing. Two people come together, they can make a commitment. And at that time, we talked about like the honeymoon hormone, all that excitement, all that energy, and the unlimited potential that is there. And then life happens. We start to grow. I got some amazing wisdom once it was my brother's father-in-law. And he said, and I always ask about this. I always ask about the older generations and, hey, what's the trick? Like, what makes you guys work? What makes you click? Or if people have had a divorce, what happened? And I think there's not enough dialogue about it. We're all embarrassed or don't want to share. Well, what this gentleman said was great. Like, so like a frequency of life, you have this, there's a starting point where you both meet, and you're both still individuals. You both still need to carry your individuality, that self, and that's critical, because when you start to lose that is when the other person goes, the attraction goes down, right? Someone starts, but you can have that, and it's a value thing, right? You share those values, okay? You want the same things, but then there's big life things that happen, whether it's a move or someone got a new job in a different state or loss of a loved one. Like, these stressors happen. And at those defining moments, you kind of bounce together. You choose at that time, are we going to stick together here on this or not? And that continuously happens through life. And part of it is communication. Part of it is being open, not just rolling through every day, having these expectations that the other person has to be there, do that for us, play the role. And because we're constantly changing, right? You've heard the analogy, everybody, that if you're not growing, you're dying, right? If you're not evolving, well, you're digressing. Life isn't a flat line. Actually, when life is flatlined, what does that represent? That means it's time. God. There's no more life. Yep. So you're either up or down, and up and down. And so with two people conscious, but you guys both are dead on. If you feeling stress in this area, you're not alone. There's tons of great resources. Dr. K and Hank are two amazing resources to reach out to and help identify and break that cycle. You're not alone. Don't be too proud, especially the men not wanting to go to counseling and stuff. There's nothing more sexy than a guy who recognizes when they were at fault, or they identify. I make mistakes all the time. I really try to always quickly say, okay, we need to have a little powwow, a chat, a heart to heart. Something broke there. This is what I did wrong. This is why when you did this, it made me feel this way. That's an old trick, you guys. When you did this, it made me feel like this. Next time, let's do it this way. Fair enough. Like, when you identifying that is huge. So working on yourself. The point is working on yourself is something that has to happen, whether
Absolutely.
to unfold and create a relationship for which you can then have that healthy life, that fun and that excitement, including sex, which I think is just a important part. So anyway, but the self-work is critical, you guys. That to me is one of the most attractive things ever.
Right. And even
when a woman's working on themselves, whether it's physically and emotionally, studying and building herself, like, oh my gosh, talk about attractive.
And even if you're not in a relationship and you're looking to be in a relationship, working on yourself, there's like the whole like attracts like type of thing. The vibration that you are at is kind of like what pulls certain people and experiences to you. So if you want to elevate, like if you're always meeting and, dating Mr. or Mrs. Wrong, perhaps doing some shadow work and inner reflection is going to elevate you so that you're now attracting on the self-actualization level just versus just the physical needs level and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so common. I see it all the time. People get divorced and they go on to that next person, and then they go on to the next person, and it's the same person with a different face. Do you want to go through another divorce? Do you really? So it's like maybe you're better off really just being alone. There's no, I don't know. There's some.
But we were taught that that's a wrongness. You have to do the thing they call graduate from high school, go to college, get married, have the house, have the kids, and then realize that none of that really.
Matters.
And Dr. He is a business professor at Baldwin Wallace. He Param, I forget I can't pronounce his last name anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't remember it. But he does this whole series on why life sucks. The global voyage to overcome the misery of everyday living, and he gives us one, but it's all esoterically based on the works of Osho. So like you go in with this title, and he's really going for the people that really think life sucks. He's not going for the people that have a different awareness around that. And he has a whole specialty deep dive into relationships, and he paints this picture that John and Sue get together, and when John and Sue get together, there are certain things, and then they marry and they have kids, and everything becomes about the kids, and they forget about the relationship, and then they drift. And by the time the kids leave the house, they look at each other and they have no idea who the other person is, but they're left there to either rediscover that and allow it to evolve, or say, I can't work with what is here now. I want what was, which will never be. And then they split, which I'll talk to the divorce rate again. And I'll put in the comments a link to his YouTube channel. He has a lot of material. If you want to take a deeper dive into that, I'll post the link here in a moment.
Yeah, that's just all of this is just so key. It's this could be a 3-hour long conversation because we've got.
Well, we could have 3 1-hour long conversations.
But it's we all want that amazing sex, right? We all want that stuff for it to happen that same way each time. And there's a book that I'm reading, although I'm not done with it yet, like The Keys to Happiness. And it's on this topic of discussing what happens when you're with a partner and the sex just isn't good anymore. It's not in that honeymoon phase anymore. What do you do at that point in time? Well, I think, first of all, we don't communicate a lot about that. Like, what do you really want? Like down to the nitty dirty details of what you want. If you're not specifying that, you're expecting that other person to kind of already know. You're expecting it to be the way it was. Well, the past is gone. So you have to find different ways of recreating something or being more spontaneous and not feeling like, well, it has to be done every single week and twice a week. And then it gets boring because it's just not exciting anymore. It's like it's scheduled, and nothing is fun when it's scheduled. So
right. A key on that, like a tangible like skill that I have a hard time doing, and that I'll share and be candid about, is what leads to my connection with my wife is making the time to be close without just going right intimate. I can get right intimate immediately. Like I'm engineered that way. Maybe most men are, maybe you are, maybe you're not. But what I found is when I just get to bed on time and I'm laying there, guess what happens more? When I find time to sit and watch a show and connect and cuddle. Remember when the intimate phase, like honeymoon phase, you're cuddling, you're holding hands, you're kissing, you guys, kissing in the kitchen in between. Do you know what that does? Like serotonin, endorphins, what it does? You flirting. So part of the bad boy, one of the things is flirting. And so what, you know, we talked to you, said boring. Like, remember, we all fall into that, or have experienced it when, gosh, this is the most boring guy, girl in the world. I'm bored. And a lot of people don't identify it. They just are, right? It's just like this energy level. Well, you have control. Flirt, tease, be playful. That is all part of creating the fun that you had at that time where you want to create. And if you want to be alone, then you have to state that too, right? You have to be clear. You have to be clear. I need time. You need time alone. Well, in that time alone, that's where it's important to have your own passions, your own hobbies, and your own things. So, you know, but the dance, it's a dance. In the dance of finding time where it's not just intimate, full-blown intimate going at it, but the time of spending in the same close vicinity where you're flirting, massage, touch, without the sexual, that's going to all lead to it. It's all going to lead to it, because that's, I feel, in our relationship, and I can only speak for mine, that is really healthy. That's also what gets neglected when I'm super busy, or I want to unwind at night where I need my space. But that's the time where I can just lay and be close to my wife. Yet I need also that time where I want to zone out, watch a game, watch a show, look at my social media stuff. So it's all decisions, right? It's all choices throughout the day. But being close, you guys, that's something you can do without the full blown going at it, being close, flirting, and having fun like that. So anyway, just a tip you guys can all run with. Let me know later if it worked, or if you got slapped or something, or if you got, you know, if you got left at the door or something, who knows? That's where liability. I'm not a therapist. I'm just the random guest on the Hank show here. So
the Hank and Dr. K show. It's not just
a random guest.
The Hank and Dr. K show. That's right.
Yeah. Maybe that should be the new name of the podcast, the Hank and Dr. K show.
The Hank and Dr. K show, which I know it's not. I love this, you guys. It's so important to talk about, because I just it's not even taboo. It's that I don't think it's discussed enough amongst our adult lives.
Well, and it's been shamed. It's been shamed, like everything. And then also, like, just to talk about cuddling, there's like a movement now where there's like professional cuddlers. I was at a expo where there was someone that brought in a couch, and it's this girl wearing like a onesie pajama suit, and you could pay money just to have her sit there and platonically cuddle you. Bodies like to be touched. They need to be touched. And like, if you're only I feel that there's like a movement now where people are realizing that, you know, you can be close to someone without having to have that emotional component, and it's really therapeutic for the body. And that's something that's really coming along a lot more nowadays. There's like whole cuddle parties and everything. There was a documentary even in well, there's been multiple documentaries on it. It's just like a huge thing, and showing the health for the body that comes of it.
It's fascinating. It's the body needs that. There's so many studies proponing, you know, hugging and what hugs do. And during COVID, it was really hard for a lot of people. So that's back in motion. But when that gets taken away, you will see suicide rates like nothing else. I mean, it is, we need it. But the whole structure, and then we have a little bit of time, but like how taboo the self-pleasure is really, really taboo. Like, church will totally take that down. So I don't know how detailed we get with that kind of thing,
well, and that's also how you find out how you like with self-pleasure and things of that nature. Like, if you haven't explored your own body to find out what you like, how could you possibly communicate it to a partner? So that's like a huge thing, but there's also a slippery slope with that, because that can also become an escape. If you're self-pleasuring, that could become an addiction. And so like, it's a delicate balance, and we're not taught about those things. So like a lot of people fall into like a place of like sex abuse, which doesn't necessarily mean other partners. That could just be self-pleasuring and falling into a thing where you just need that. And then like, how do you come out of that? No pun intended, and be able to have a healthy relationship and not, like, you know, not end up like re-triggering an addiction. I think sustaining, I think that's healthy. Like at some extent, where, like you said, getting to know thyself, what you like, what you don't like, these things. Part of it is access to outside graphics, videos, right? It's just at the palm of everybody's hand.
and that escape. Like, I've been accused by watching Sports Center late at night. Like, what are you doing? Looking at porn? No, I'm not. I'm actually not. I'm looking at a video of quantum physics. I'm looking at quantum physics.
Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah. But my point is you as an individual, as a man, what you can do is what I believe our partners know. They know there's a frequency of your body, and when you are sustaining that and holding that, harnessing that energy, where you're working hard, you're working out hard, you're eating right, and you're not just blowing it in the bathroom at 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. They know.
Yes, they do.
And so when you come to bed and you have that energy, they're going to resonate with that, just like the tuning forks, Hank, just like the biofeedback, Dr. K. And that's going to be and I can speak for myself. That's my wife knows when that energy is there and ready and wants it. I don't even have to say anything. I don't even have to touch her. So think about that. It's self-control, self-awareness, communication, what you need, what you want. What do you want from this relationship? Well, you better get it out of your own mind. You first identify it yourself and then share it with your loved one. That's wouldn't you want them to do the same?
Two really important steps.
So, gosh, I mean, I would love that if we heard from both sides. So maybe there's like some type of class you guys should lead and teach on how couples go about that. And maybe it needs to be facilitated. That's okay, right? Some people don't have the training for this, you guys, to be able to even tap into this dialogue. Makes people cringy and queer, but my gosh, if two married people can't do that, what in the world? What's going on?
You're headed downward if you can't do that. If you can't find somebody to do that with, because
And I just had the awareness too. For future topics like this, I will set up an online forum that people can submit questions to anonymously. Cause I just realized, like, usually we have a lot of questions, and around something like this, there might be a lot of shame in even asking a question.
Totally.
So like we will, but for now, if you want to email questions, and you can use hank@thesonicshaman.com, and we can make a part 2, perhaps, where we can bring questions up that were asked. But going forward, like I'll figure out a way to allow questions to be submitted anonymously, because a lot of people might be really reserved in bringing things up.
Because when you ask a question, it helps everybody. It's probably a question a lot of people have on their minds. It's very common that it happens. So don't be shy. If you're willing to say anything here, please do. We're very open people. So.
Right. And what you can be vulnerable with, people you can heal. If you're not willing to be vulnerable with it, and you keep it in the closet or in the shadow realm, it's really hard to heal from it. And I'm being reserved a little bit because I don't want to talk about personal things without without having clear consent or whatnot. So we're speaking kind of generally, but if you have specific questions, we can address those and give a lot more resources too. But we'll get a way to do that without having to throw people under the bus.
So here's a little tip. So how can you get more sex in your life? I'll give them some practical. Well, don't talk about it, for one thing. You got to be about it.
We don't talk about Bruno. I hope
we don't talk about. Yes, exactly. Like Encanto, or what was that?
It was Encanto. I believe that's the name. Yeah.
Yep. Oh gosh, don't bring that song out. It'll get stuck in my head.
It's too late.
But you guys, act on some of these things that show how attractive you are. You have to create this by actions.
Stretch your stuff, right?
Stretch your stuff.
And if you don't got stuff to stretch, then you got to make some up.
You'll find the whole of glory if you focus on your stuff. You'll find you'll create that if you focus on how you react to things. And something too, we talked about, you mentioned something really important, is the vulnerable man. It is masculine to be able to be vulnerable, you guys. And that it's also not toxic masculine either for being an alpha and wanting to play and want your partner.
But we've been taught differently.
We've been taught oh no, you can't go up and aggressively hug your wife and kiss her. No. That's a masculine bat. He just wants to abuse us and trash that. No. That's not right. And the divine feminine, we need to cherish and exemplify that too, and let our women flaunt their beauty. Like, and I think that balance has been a little shaken in our communities, just growing up and seeing how we went from a hyper masculine childhood. Hank, I know our generation, where in the 80s, He-Man, G.I. Joe,
Yep.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo,
Yeah.
Jean-Claude
Rocky.
Van Damme, Rocky, Chuck Norris. Dude, we were in a hyper masculine childhood, like where that's what it took. That's what it meant to be a man. Well, there's truth to that. That's part of the masculine, but part of it too is being able to identify when you need to be an emotional support system to your loved ones, your children, your wife, your girlfriends, your coworkers and things. So,
or even your friends.
Your friends, exactly. The Mr. Macho, who's all cool, badass, hard ass on everyone. That no one likes that guy. That guy's not getting laid. That guy's you know, he's not getting laid. So it's about being this really well-rounded individual, identifying what you want, and I think you'll be able to find that you'll create happiness and joy in your life, which is, I think, the goal, right? I mean, that's my goal. I want to live this life to the fullest, be the best I can be, and have the greatest relationship with my wife I can. That's my clarity. And what is yours? You have to answer that. We're not here to tell you what to do, how to think, but hopefully some of these little tips that Hank and Dr. K brought to our attention will guide you, and also let you know to ask for support, ask for guidance if you need it. You're not alone. So
yeah, I think we talked a lot about guys, but I'm like,
well, we need a part 2 just for women at this point, because
I'll just touch on that. Yeah, like quick. There's a lot of inadequacy that I see in women. Like, we don't feel we're attractive enough, so we get fake boobs and we get all this stuff because it's really all internal work.
Yeah.
And not anything against that. If you do that for yourself, that's a totally different story. But really ask yourself before you change your hair and do that for yourself, not because you feel that you need to be something to a man. And I'm not saying let yourself go and wear sweatpants all day long and who cares how you look. It's really an inner energy. That's what people feel. And that's what this whole conversation is really all about. We are like sharks. We feel each other's energy, like Jake said. When you get into bed, sometimes your wife, your girlfriend knows it when you're ready. You feel that energy from a mile away when it's like, So what are you doing for yourself, and why do you feel inadequate that you need to change all these things about yourself? Do what you need to do for yourself, not because, oh my God, I'm turning 40 and I gotta I think I need to facelift and I need an ear lift and I need why are you doing that? Really ask those questions of yourself. Do you feel your husband's not going to love you anymore because you're getting older and you feel like he might find somebody younger? This is a whole other conversation, I think, on the female side.
This will probably end up being a 5-part series again.
It might be.
And I love it. And I'll tell you, the most attractive thing for a woman to a man is,
tell us, Jake.
Yeah, I'll share it. And it's a mirror. It's a mirror to, and this is my opinion, right? But this is a mirror to me reading the minds of women and how they think about men. This is easy. This is what I'm attracted to, right? One, does this woman love herself? Just what Dr. K said. Does she authentically have this confidence that she's happy and she's joyful? It doesn't mean there can't be the emotional reason. That's not about, but do they love themselves, right? Is there that self-love? Are they someone who can hold my emotional shit sometimes, right? And deal with that when I'm fussy and stuff. And can they just say, settle down, chill out, right? The emotional care, which also there's I read this amazing article. I'll have to look it up and share it with you, Hank, about, men are looking for women to hold their emotional stuff and hold that baggage. But also, are they driven? Are they independent? Are they the long-term relationship? Are they someone who's nurturing, who could be there for the kiddos? That is so attractive, knowing that I chose this woman who is able to nurture and who loves the little puppy, even though I said, let's not get a puppy. She kept showing it to me. We got a puppy. Love him now. Love it. And then also someone who can have fun and sexy and be spontaneous and isn't the boring dud who just wants to worry about the kids all day. And that's all that matters. The kids are the world. You can go to hell. You just donated your sperm. And so someone who can say, damn, I want to, and someone who's independent. I'm going out with the girls on Thursday, honey. Where are you going? I don't know, but it's none of your business. I'm going out to the party. Whoa, what the hell? That I like it. I like Sparty. I like this, you know, or someone who, and then someone who can identify and be present in all three of those. So, but really it isn't about looks. It's about that
totally
self-confidence.
Self-confidence. That's sexy. That is sexy to me. That's sexy to a lot of the men because that's someone who can hit those different things that we're looking for in a mate, in a partner. And again, it goes back to that DNA, biological. We're looking for the woman who, one, if she takes care of herself, well, guess what? She can take care of kids too, right? Even if she doesn't have kids, that's kind of like if she's a provider, she can hold her own. And I think that's less important. But I'm not saying it's less important for a woman's independence. I'm not saying that. I'm saying attractive level for men. If someone is a career woman versus someone who just is a child care, wants to be a mom and identifies that, I'm saying it doesn't matter the same, I think, as the women's attraction to men where someone's going to provide. I think it's different for men and women there. But no, that's a whole nother topic. I don't know at all. We should get a lot of feedback from people and see what topics they really want to talk about. And I would love to have people chime in too and say,
that'd be
Jake,
great.
You're full of shit, pal. But you know, I've been talking about this for 10 years. I've been talking to Dr. K. We've known each other for a long time, and Hank, and there's really some simplicity to it. And I try to keep things simple, especially for our pea-brain guys. You guys, you know, it's really clear if you're stuck in one of these, and you have the power to make a decision of what you do to get out of it or to move it and keep it spontaneous and fun. And that leads to greater sex. It just does. It just does. Yeah. So you don't have to try, but it's not something that just happens overnight unless you go down and you pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. which I'm not about, and I don't judge you if you are, but that's totally different. You don't have to, you could be a jack of you can just be a jack and do that. Right. So Hank, I'll zip it here, but I'm so grateful for you guys for bringing these topics up. I love your show. You guys bring up the most interesting conversations that I think people need to hear and people need to tune into. So,
and I'm sure we'll have a part 2. We'll just connect with Jake after we're done here and see when that might be, because we didn't talk a lot about the women's side. We recapped it a little bit, but just a final comment on one of the things you brought up, like the excitement of the independence of your partner, like going out and just having a girls' night or things. If that scares you, that is a thing to look at. Like, where are you feeling insecure and things of that nature? Because like that is an exciting thing for me when they're like going out and I don't know where they're going, don't know what they're out and it's like midnight and they're not home yet. It's like, wow, what's going on?
Exactly.
So, like, for me personally, that is like an exciting thing because they're being independent and taking care of themselves and doing what is healthy for them when they're having the girls' night out.
Absolutely. And it's good to have that little vulnerability. Feel that in a relationship. It actually brings the attraction closer, right? So when Lisa has some social things and she's out and about, guess where that attention goes to when she comes back, right? I find that as long as I hold my cool and I'm like, where were you? And there's, that can diminish it all. Where were you? Why didn't you call me? And why didn't you show up when you said you did? No. Try to contain that, gentlemen and ladies. That doesn't help anything. You give someone a pass to go have fun, and then you're just a thorn in their side, a little jealous weed and weasel. That's not attractive.
But there is an element of like concern though too. Like one example, Anya went to Anya's my wife, to speak clear. She went to like this yoga and sound bath thing, and like was like supposed to be from 8 to 9, and like it really was like 11:30. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what's like. I hope she's okay.
Oh,
and everything was fine. She was just talking afterwards, like to people and everything, and that was fine. But there's a distinction where there is an element. Well, hey, now I'm actually legitimately concerned because there was a certain expectation of her around when you'd be home. So in that case, I feel it is important for the partner to check in, like, hey, all is good. I'm just still talking or whatever, because you can get concerned just like from a safety standpoint.
Well said. Yeah. Absolutely. That's I mean, that's exactly. If someone doesn't communicate when they a certain amount of time, that's totally different. I mean, Anya goes out, and 10 minutes into her
what you doing?
Like,
what you doing?
How's the party? Who's there? What's going on? It's like, silence them, and
that's when you put the phone on do not disturb. Sorry, I'm gonna read this later, then yell at you for like being up in my shit. That's a totally. But, you don't want to. You want to be the hovercraft.
You bring up a great point. You bring up a great point, Hank. Is that communication? Hey, babe, gonna stay out a little longer. We're chatting, having a great time. Love you. See you later. Oh, great. That communication is respect. Ultimately, on this totem pole I went through, there's a level there. Confidence, bottom to top, but also respect. So you're more respected when you respect your partner. There's so much more freedom to be authentic and to grow together and to stuff. When you start lying or doing these things, respect goes down. Well, so does your sex life. Right? So totally, just kind of keep that in mind. And what is respect? Respect is something you have to earn. Respect is something that's, and how do you earn it? Well, trust over time through actions. You could be a sweet, smooth talker, get someone in bed, get laid, wonderful. If you aren't honest from that point forth, is that going to last? No. Are you going to build that respect on lies? Well, you may last long. You may build 50 years of lies. Good for you. How do you feel about that? You feel good? You feel like you're fulfilling your truth and promise? If that's the case, hey, better off to you. But in terms of choices, I think most people want to make is to live in integrity.
Yes.
Live authentic to themselves. Be true to themselves. Find someone who will validate that, but you get to also validate and share. And that's where this magic happens. The sex is a side effect, you guys, of everything we talked about. Yeah. And yes, I would love to talk about.
That's a great topic for the future stream. Sex is a side effect. It is a side effect. A great connection that you just made.
And that kind of ties everything we've talked about underlying, because people, they get frustrated. And the problem is they can get instant satisfaction now on their phones. They can get that false. But if you're looking for true connection with people, you have to deal with the human condition here.
Right.
You can't, bypass it. So Dr. K, what would we talk about next regarding the women's side? Should we get women's, do you want more men's feedback on what is sexy and attractive?
I think that's a big part of it. I think number one, looking inwardly, what do women want? What do women want? What do men perceive from, what do you guys perceive from our end when we put too much makeup on, or too little makeup on, or too many sweatpants, or too little sweatpants, or do we need to look a certain way? We would love your perspective. And I think how and why are women constantly unsatisfied? And again, this is societal. We have to look thin. We have to be, we have to have blonde hair. We have to, we have to have big boobs. We have to live, whatever. That's a whole different trend to talk about. But all those things, what is that from your perspective? And really, again, it comes down to the attractiveness to somebody else really comes from the inside. I know that sucks to hear, but the inner work is so important. It's key. Yeah. It's key to it all.
No, I mean, that's good. So it's almost like what men want. It's like what do men want out of their set. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a prelude into why I want someone who's aware enough to recognize when things have to be handled at home, and that's a priority, yet knows when to cut loose and be free. And that balance, that balance, which is not easy sometimes. It's not easy. especially again in my life. I know, Hank, we're married. Not you and I, but we're married, like in terms.
But that would be okay too, Jake. You would make a fine husband.
Very traditional gentleman over here, but is being able to. I lost my train of thought. I don't know.
Okay, proof the magic dragon.
Yeah, we'll close it on that. But you guys, this is amazing, and I think it's super fun, super healthy to be able to open this dialogue up the way you guys have. So.
Awesome. Well, until next time, we will. If you are watching, please, if you go to Emergence of Being YouTube channel, I don't think I have. I do have a link in the comments. You can subscribe there. Make sure to turn notifications on, and you will be notified when we schedule part 2. I will try to do it further in advance this time, but you will get the notification, and it will be a Monday more than likely because that seems to be a day that works for everybody. So keep in, tune in for that. Any final thing from you, Dr. K?
No, let's stay tuned for the next. Yeah,
awesome.
We'll just leave you hanging.
But until next time, stay aware and stay healthy. Till next time, Max.
Bye. Bye.